I'm Justin Josie, and this is my strategic analysis of my employer, Robert Morris University. So, a brief history of higher education. Higher education started as colleges in small towns during the colonial era. There are private institutions and public institutions. Private nonprofit institutions get their funding from private donors, while public institutions get their funding from states and taxpayer dollars in exchange for in-state tuition. It was the advances in technology during the early 20th century that led to the explosion of growth in the higher education industry. Industry had more of a demand than ever for trained scientists and workers that had experience with higher education, and that trend really continued into the 21st century. However, in the past decade, enrollments have been dropping, and most economists attribute this to a decrease in the population size. This decrease in population size has actually not hit its worst point yet. The lowest population size was recorded during the Great Recession in 2008, and students born during the Great Recession will not go to college until 2025. So it's really only going to get worse based on population size. There have also been a number of disruptions in the education industry, mainly due to online education. Critics of higher education say that online education will completely replace traditional education, while traditional higher education institutions have actually been embracing online education, with 1 in 3 students actually opting to take an online course. So as for history of RMU, it opened in 1921 as strictly the School of Accountancy. From there, it expanded to a business school and then became a full-fledged university in 2002 with 4 different schools and fields of study, 60 bachelor's programs and 35 master's programs total. And RMU has stayed true to their mission, which is to find students employment in relevant industry fields. They have 88% alumni employment. That's higher than the national average of 81%. They've also added programs. Again, they started out as a school of business and have expanded to include science, technology, communications, nursing, and education, and a variety of other fields. So they offer students what the industry demands. They also focus on giving students a wide range of communication skills. Each student is required to take 12 credits of communication skills classes regardless of their major. This better prepares students to communicate in the workplace. RMU has recently gone through a reorganization. This came after a 3.5% decrease in enrollment during fall 2018. And this decrease was actually steeper than the national average and followed a 12% decrease since 2014. I'm sorry. The goal here of this reorganization was to cut $4 to $5 million in the budget and really prepare for the declining enrollments of the future, as well as meet this current budget. The President Dr. Howard was issued as saying, "This is a difficult decision to make, but it will result in a more agile university that is more responsive to the needs of the professional workforce in the Pittsburgh region and beyond." The school also reorganized to feature 4 schools instead of 5, although they did not have to cut any full-time faculty during this period. In addition to this reorganization, RMU is changing its image by building new facilities. RMU in the past 3 years has built 2 new facilities. One was the UPMC Event Center for $50 million, and one was the new fitness center for $7 million. Both facilities were actually paid for by fundraising and donors, which really shows the strength and the leadership of the institution currently. So the strengths for RMU. They have a mix of types of programs. This type of diversity helps with enrollment overall because enrollment is falling more so in in business-related fields and rising more so in STEM-related fields. Also, enrollment is falling more so in undergraduate and actually rising slightly in graduate programs. So RMU's diversity in their undergraduate and graduate programs is also a strength for them. RMU's pricing matches its size, as it's a medium-sized private institution, and as you'll see, it has medium net pricing when compared to its competitors. It has graduate programs that can accommodate students of different demographics. RMU has a fully online program. RMU has multiple part-time master's programs, and it uses these to attract maybe non-traditional students and different demographics than would be able to do full-time degrees in person. RMU's ability to raise funds, as I mentioned before, is a newfound strength, and its ability to raise funds for the two facilities I mentioned previously have really been impressive, and hopefully that type of fundraising can keep up as the same leadership is still there that was there for the fundraising itself. So if RMU is able to raise more funds, they'll likely be able to expand and follow any type of strategic plan that they choose. RMU also has a suburban location, which really differentiates itself from most universities in the Pittsburgh area. Universities in the city of Pittsburgh really can't expand as much as RMU has the ability to. Also, since students want to go close to home, it's nice to be in a suburban area where there are many potential students. So weaknesses is RMU's high tuition cost, at least the advertised tuition cost. As I said, you'll see later that the net price is actually lower than that tuition cost, but RMU looks much more expensive, especially than public schools, comparable public state schools. RMU has heavy investments in facilities, not to say that these facilities, such as the event center and fitness center, aren't going to generate revenue in the future, but currently they might be more of a liability in terms of the budget because of dropping enrollments. Many competitors in close proximity. There's a variety of schools, especially private schools, have popped up around the Pittsburgh area and are able to compete with RMU in terms of price and size. Enrollment is declining at RMU faster than the national average, at least and especially in the last year or two. The enrollment at RMU has been declining quickly. So the opportunities for RMU can continue to expand its successful programs, like its online programs and its part-time programs, to really diversify the demographics that it appeals to. Since the traditional college students, their population size is decreasing, it'll be increasingly important in the future to appeal to working individuals and more non-traditional students. RMU has the opportunity to utilize its infrastructure on campus to draw attention to the university. The new event center especially is going to bring a lot of newcomers to the campus, and there's opportunity there for them to potentially apply. RMU also has the opportunity to raise more funds, to renovate buildings on campus, and increase the budgets for programs. Again, it's about choosing the right strategic mission, but clearly RMU does have the opportunity to raise funds to support those strategic missions. And RMU needs to appeal to students that prefer a suburban environment. This is a differentiator, as you'll see, between RMU and its competitors. So RMU needs to really leverage that and advertise itself to people in the area. So threats to RMU would be continued decrease in enrollment, especially because RMU may be facing higher rates of decreased enrollment than other universities. So it has to be careful to try and adapt its strategy in a way that will increase enrollment. If RMU is unable to differentiate itself from other universities, again, there are many competitors in the Pittsburgh area, so differentiation is going to be a key factor in RMU's success. And non-traditional education through online and open courses could replace the need for traditional universities. This is a fear that some opponents of higher education currently have, is that the the free dissemination of information on the internet will actually be able to replace the need for traditional universities altogether, or force many of them to go out of business. So RMU's competitors are mainly within a 47-mile radius, as most students at private institutions go to school within 47 miles of their chosen school. Within there, RMU competes based on cost with Slippery Rock University and Point Park University. Slippery Rock University has an advertised tuition of around $10,000, whereas RMU's is around $30,000. However, the net price of Slippery Rock is around $17,000, and the net price of RMU is actually around $25,000. This is due to the scholarships and grants that Robert Morris is more likely to give out, as Slippery Rock is a public institution and RMU is a private institution. These differences in tuition are pretty key when students compare universities, and should probably be addressed strategically. Point Park University is more specialized in the arts than RMU is. However, it's still comparable price point, and they admit students with lower SAT scores than RMU, but similar to RMU. And even though RMU has a higher required SAT score than either Slippery Rock or Point Park, RMU continues to have an 83% acceptance rate, which is significantly higher than both of those universities, which might show that RMU has a has higher quality of applicants than either of these schools do, but it's certainly going to increase its growth faster. RMU is less expensive than Duquesne University, but it really competes with Duquesne in terms of prestige. In the U.S. News National University Rankings, Duquesne actually still outranks RMU, and especially Duquesne has expanded master's programs faster than RMU and has outpaced RMU in most master's programs. So as for the conclusion and recommendations, I recommend that RMU expand their non-traditional programs. Their online programs and their part-time programs could attract new students that would not have been able to come to school before. They should advertise their net price instead of their tuition, their base rate tuition. Potential students need to understand the difference in price between private and public universities, and that RMU is willing to give scholarships and grants to a majority of the students that actually come to their university. Also, RMU needs to decrease their time to degree. So this is another thing that's important to saving students money, and especially to non-traditional students that want to get back into the workforce. RMU is already doing a fairly good job of this with their integrated program and their part-time programs. But again, these part-time and online programs and integrated programs should be expanded because they are differentiating factors that will allow RMU to attract new students. RMU should also invest in STEM. Specifically, I think computer science could be a key major to add. Most of RMU's competitors and most competitors in the Pittsburgh area have a computer science program. RMU has some programs that are similar to computer science, but nothing really that is a true computer science program. And I think many students are looking for that, as computer science is one of the fastest growing fields, even with enrollments dropping nationwide. RMU also needs to utilize its new facilities for recruiting. So of course, the UPMC Event Center is going to be especially key here. It needs to find ways to advertise its admissions at the UPMC Event Center and draw attendance from the UPMC Event Center to the campus itself, so that they can see what the campus actually looks like, and hopefully it will apply in the future. Thank you.